Hello and welcome to Simmons School in Hope, Indiana. If you look around outside, you might notice some things are different from where you go to school now. This is a one-room school. Well, it's actually kind of a room and a piece. And in that extra piece of a room, it's called a cloakroom, and that's where you hang your jackets, your bonnets, your hats, and your lunch pails. So it's sort of a half room. And then we have the one-room school where we'll be doing our studies. This building used to be in another location in the county, but with a lot of effort from many folks, they moved the building right through the middle of town and brought it here to the Hope Hauser School campus so children would be able to use it and learn some things about history. Little Hoosiers helped, lots of adults, so I want to make sure that you know that this school really was a school in the late 1800s. Over here you see the pump. That would be used to draw water so scholars could get a drink in their tin cups or to wash our hands, and we'll go over there later and see about that. Farther over is the garden, and there's a sundial in the middle and some flowers and some nice soft plants that you might want to explore later on. But right now we are going to be traveling back in time. So time traveling back to the late 1800s. Manners were somewhat different. You would always stand to recite, and reciting means anytime you made an answer to the teacher, you would stand. And sometimes you would always say yes ma'am or no ma'am, or if I were a schoolmaster it would be yes sir or no sir. And so that's maybe a little different. You may not stand to recite or use that term. You need to use your imagination. I hope that you will imagine yourself going back in time and that you are stepping into the history of Simmons School. If you've ever read the Little House books, by Laura Ingalls Wilder, those books would be something similar, just like stepping into the action. Now, you have to imagine no televisions, no computers, no airplanes. They didn't exist. The other thing that is way different, cameras existed and so did telephones, but you and I probably would never have seen one. Sometimes in the big cities, some folks would have them, but usually in the country, we wouldn't have seen them or used them. All right, so if you're ready, I'm going to ring the bell, and when you hear it ring, come on in and experience school in 1892. Good morning, scholars. Gentlemen, hang your coats right over here, your hats, lunch pails. Ladies, you're going to put yours on this side, and then once you put your things away, walk into the schoolroom and you will sit our younger first and second graders in the front, older seventh and eighth graders in the back. Gentlemen, you'll be on this side of the room. Ladies, you'll be on this side of the room. So please take your seats so that you're ready to start our school day. We'll start our day, as we always do, with our morning exercises. We are going to be singing our good morning song. Now, you older students, you 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, help our younger 1st and 2nd graders out. Good morning to you, good morning to you. We're all in our places with sunshiny faces, for this is the way to start a new day. Whatever the weather, we'll make it together in work and in play, a beautiful day, for this is the way to start a new day. While you're standing, would you please, we're going to recite our Pledge of Allegiance. Now, it's still fairly new, so folks have not decided the best way to salute our flag. Some folks are saying you need to salute with your palm up. Some folks are saying you need to salute with your palm down. Some say salute with your hand over your heart. And if you were in military attire, you would use a salute on your forehead, but no one here is wearing military attire. So you may choose whichever one you would prefer to use. as long as you're being respectful. And it's not being disrespectful if you read the pledge. So I know we haven't all got it memorized yet, so it's perfectly fine. So let us salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to my flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated, scholars. All right, today we are going to be having a roll call. But before we do that, I want to go over a manners lesson with you that your mas and pas teach you at home, manners they expect you to learn, but they expect us to also show you how to behave. So today's manners lesson is going to be what you would do if you had met an adult and you've never met that adult before. So, gentlemen, you're going to be watching first while the ladies learn the lesson. And then you'll be judging. Now judge fairly and kindly, because when it's your turn, the ladies will be judging you. And so you know you want to judge them kindly. All right, so ladies, if you were meeting an adult and you never met her before, you would be doing, actually you have to think of about 4 things. The first thing you think of is the curtsy or dipping. What you do is you put your left foot slightly forward and your right foot slightly back. And I'm putting mine that way, and that way you can see how your feet would look. And then you pinch the sides of your skirt, and then you bend your knees down and back up. You can also slightly nod your head down and back up. The next thing you do is you look at the person. You look them in the eye, you use that person's name, and you use a polite phrase. So you have to remember those 3 things. Now, when you're meeting a person just by yourself, you're welcome to choose your own polite phrase. But since we're going to do this all together, I'll choose it today. So we had Mrs. Bates stop by, and so Mrs. Bates is going to be our guest that we're going to introduce ourselves to. So I might say something like, ladies, this is our guest, Mrs. Bates. Would you please greet her? And you would do the curtsy, use the polite phrase, look at her, and say her name. So you would say, I'm pleased to meet you, Mrs. Bates. And then Mrs. Bates might say something polite back to you, like, I'm happy to meet you too. Gentlemen, it's your turn. Gentlemen, even in cultures that wear some kind of skirt, don't giggle. I've heard that. Because there are some cultures that in the Middle East, the men wear a long flowing robe, or sometimes in Scotland, they wear a type of skirt called a kilt. But even if what we're going to be doing today is a bow. Now, instead of your feet angled, your feet are going to be straight. Now, not way far apart, not too close together, but just a little bit apart for balance. You put your right hand in front of your waist and your left hand behind your waist. And then instead of bending your knees, you bend down at your waist. Down and back up. Now you've learned the rest of it because you already know you look at the person, use their name, and you also say a polite phrase. Now we're going to learn our proverb. The first word is a contraction, tis, and it's short for it is. Some of you use the contraction it's. They just left out the second I instead of the first I. But the person who wrote this decided that it was going to be tis. And that's all it means, is it is. So let's practice together, because you know before our prayer before lunch, you're going to have it memorized. But this author made it a little easier for us because this author made it rhyme. So you know how rhyming helps you with a song. All right, so here's our proverb for the day. 'Tis the kind words we say and the kind acts we do that make a better day for us and others too. We're going to be working on our vocal vowel song. You know the vowels, A, E, I, O, U. Now, today, the consonant we're going to practice with is B. All right, so we're going to start, and we'll sing the first part slowly till you catch on, and then we'll speed it up just a little bit. B, A, bay, B, E, B, B-I, biddy, bye, bee-bo, bo, biddy, baby, bye, bo, boo, biddy, bye, bo, boo. D-A, day, D-E-D, D-I, diddy, die, dee-do-do, diddy, day, dee, die, do, do, diddy, die, do, do. Ready? M-A, may, M-E, me, M-I, middy, my, me, mo, mo, middy, me, my, mo, moo, middy, my, mo, moo. Oh dear, I see some of you starting to wiggle. We might need a privy break. So I think before we do that, we're going to make a paper drinking cup so that when you go to the privy and wash your hands, you'll be able to get a drink of water. And I'm excited because I enjoy doing this. All right, so the first thing to do to make our paper drinking cup, remember that Dr. Stone was here, last week or the week before, and he said that there are these things called germs. And when we have germs, we can't drink after each other, because if we drink after each other, we might get germs from someone else. Now, we've always done it. We've taken the dipper, gotten a drink, and then put the dipper back, and the next person got the drink too. So the first thing we're going to do is you have this piece of paper. Please raise your hand and tell me what shape this paper is. Yes, Julia, it's a square, that's right. If I turn it this way, it's still a square. Does anyone remember the name for that? I heard it, diamond. All right, so put your paper in the diamond position on your desk. Put your left pointer finger at the top of the diamond. Take your right hand and bring the bottom of the diamond up and make it match exactly. And then put your left pointer finger back down to hold it and press that to make a new shape. Do you know the name of this? Yes, triangle. All right, now what you're going to do is find the middle of the left side of the triangle. Not up here and not down here, but as close to the middle as you can see. Put your left pointer finger there. Take your right hand and get the lower right part of that triangle, and you're going to put this point right over here under your finger. So bring it over here, hold it down, and then take your other hand and press that down. Right. That's the next step. You just have a quadrilateral, has no specific name. This is the tricky part. Right here, you're going to take that lower left point, and you're going to make this edge trace along this edge right here. So when you bring this up, you don't want it up here, you don't want it down here, you want this edge exactly across. So you're going to make it straight across. Mine's not going to quite meet or go all the way to the edge, but the important part is it's straight across. Press it down, and now you have a 5-sided figure. And who knows what that is called? Yes, Barbara Ann, please stand. You're correct. It is a pentagon with 5 sides. Now, at the top of your pentagon, there are 2 flaps, 2 pieces. Take one of them and fold that edge right down over that line that you just made. Fold it down, press it down. Then turn it over and take the other part of the pentagon and fold it down and press it down. And you have something resembling a trapezoid. I don't think they're parallel, so it's not exactly a trapezoid. But if you open the top, you'll be able to pour water in it, and you can get a drink. Now, we have 10 cups here at the schoolhouse. Your ma's send you with cups in your lunch pails. But if you're ever someplace that they did not have a cup for you to drink, and you knew that other people were drinking out of the dipper, you can use this so that you won't get germs, since you don't know if the other person was sick. But now this is paper. So how many drinks of water are you going to be able to get in this cup? Just once. It's only good for 1 drink. So after that, you'll need to throw it away. Now, I thought it would be fun to show you. We've got some new toys this year. And I'd like to show you while we're outside some of the things that we're going to be doing. And maybe you'll give it a try as well. All right. Let's see. Let's start with this. Now, if it is very windy out, I didn't bring a stick. Well, then I won't start with this because I didn't bring a stick out. We'll start with the stilts. Now, you all remember Dr. Stone told me that I'm not supposed to get on these anymore. He did an operation on my foot, and I'm not very stable, but I'm going to show you how to do it. And then maybe one of our older students later on can help show us. So what you're going to do is you take the back of the stilts and put them behind your shoulders. That gives you a little stability. And then you're going to put your feet on these foot pads. They kind of look like a pedal. And then raise yourself up, and then you walk like you might have seen pictures of a camel. They walk this way, then this way. So your right arm and your right leg go together. And most animals, like horses and that, they are opposite. So that's one of the things you can try out. You might want to have somebody stand behind you until you get on, just to make sure that you're being safe. Here's another kind of stilts that we have, and that is tin can stilts. And I'm going to just show you how these work too. I'll make sure I don't have a hole here. This is probably better on pavement, but we'll see. You put your foot on and you're going to hold this up, pull it taut. Don't let it dangle, pull it real taut. And then your other foot is going to go on this side. And then you lift and walk, lift and walk. Now you can see how high up your foot is from the ground. Don't race with these, all right? Just walk normal. If you race with these, you could twist your ankle and fall down, and that would not feel very good. You might have to even have crutches. All right, so let's try the burlap sack. Now, we can have the sack race after a while. What you do is you're going to step inside this. It's just like a pillowcase. So you're going to step inside. Now I'm not going to do it because my skirts will get all tangled up and it might be look indecent. So you're going to step inside this, and then once your feet are in, pull it snug against your feet, and then you're going to jump. And you jump and jump and jump, and you have an ending spot, and you and your partner can race. Now I'm going to try to do this gracefully, but a three-legged race. So that means I put one leg in the sack and pull it down to the bottom, and my partner puts the other leg in the sack, and then we get real personal, arm around this person, arm around me, and then we decide, are we going to walk with our outside leg first or our inside leg? So we would decide, and then if it's the inside leg, we'd go together, there's one. Another step together, so we would be three legs, even though one of the legs has really got two, but they're stuck inside this bag. So that's another game we can do. One of my favorites is, let me show you some hand games. Jacob's ladder. I think the person who invented this must have been a genius. Look at this, all these ribbons and things, and if you hold it just right, it climbs. You know, the old story in the Bible was Jacob's ladder. Now, if you hold it and you go this way, nothing happens. But if you turn your hand just right, then that climbs. I just think somebody was really brilliant to figure that out. And you can get your wrist motion going. So you can try that. Another fun one is drop the clothespin in the milk bottle. Now, sometimes when I do this, I actually get it in, and sometimes I don't. But you make sure that the head of the clothespin is down. Don't try to do it this way. And what you do is you slightly bend over, like so, and then you're going to drop the clothespin and you try to get it into the bottle. Now, this is cheating. All right, it's cheating if you bend all the way down and you're just like this far away. But what you do is you drop them in and then see who can get the most to stay in. So let me see. I got one in. I think I am going to stop right now. So the next person then would try it. There's me. Go in, and you go until you see how many clothespins that you can get into the bottle. All right. Now another one, and I am terrible at this, is where you try to get this little ball into this cup, and you do it one-handed. And don't do it close to anybody else, because hear how hard that is. So you're going to swing it. All I do is hit myself. but some of you will be very good at this, and you can show me how good you are after a while. Now, we also have another version of that. Try to get the ring on this guy's nose. So, if you're really good at that, you might try this one too. Now, some of you may fit this one. Another genius invented this. It's just called a do-nothing machine. It just doesn't do anything, but somebody had to be really smart to figure out how that works. So you just go round and round, and it just doesn't do anything. But it's kind of relaxing, I guess you could say, to do it. We have all kinds of other hand games in there, but I want to share my favorite one with you. My grandpa was a lumberjack, like some of your family members have been. And when the lumberjacks would go to where the forests were, they sometimes would have to leave their families and be gone a long time. When they would do that, I think the men got lonely, and they wanted to do something for fun. So once they had all the trees cut that they were going to cut, they stripped the branches and they had logs, and they put the logs in the river, and the river would float them down to the sawmill so they could saw boards, so we could have furniture like benches or floors. And but they'd worked really hard, so they didn't want to just send those logs down the river. Somebody else could say, oh, we cut those, and take advantage of them. So what the men did was they would go down with the logs, and they would get on the logs while they were in the river and try to balance. And so they might be doing, oh, I'm going to fall off, oh, I'm going to fall off, oh. And then, if that weren't enough, sometimes they would get two men on a log, one on this end and one on this end, and they try to knock each other into the river. So I'm on here balancing, oh, I'm trying to knock you off, oh, no, I don't want to fall off in the river. And they would just keep doing that. And so, like I said, I think they must have been lonely to make up a game like that. But anyway, that's what this dancing lumberjack represents. So to use this is just a little paddle. And you're going to sit on the bench and you let it vibrate. All right, you put the dancing lumberjack on the end and you use just your fingers. Don't do this because you'll just break the paddle that he's dancing on. And don't smack it hard, but just vibrate it. Let's see. I always think I'm successful if I can get him to twirl his arms around, because that shows he's really balancing. We'll see. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain. She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Well, he did pretty well today. So maybe you'll try that and you'll get a dancing lumberjack too. Lunch is over now, and we're going to come back in and get settled to have our afternoon lessons. The first thing we're going to do is geography. And in the middle of the blackboard, there is a poem, or it's a riddle, and that riddle is about a mystery place. But to do that riddle, we have to know what direction we're facing. So if you know what direction you're facing, if you're looking at the blackboard, raise your hand. Elsie? Yes, north. All right, so scholars, if you're facing north, use your hands to point to east. East is correct. Use your hands to point to west. West is correct. So where's south? Back behind you. All right, so this is a poem or riddle about a mystery place. East of the mystery place is Ohio's fertile land. North of the mystery place is a tract of land, and it's called Michigan. West of the mystery place is Illinois. And south of the mystery place, there's a stream of the Ohio, also known as the Ohio River. And the other side of that is Kentucky. So who knows what the mystery place is? That's correct, Indiana. So this is a riddle and a song about Indiana. Our government lesson for today is right over here. Our president is Benjamin Harrison. And Benjamin Harrison, I think the interesting thing about him, his grandpa was also a president, Mr. William Henry Harrison. And Mr. William Henry Harrison, he was only president for like 30 days. That's all the longer he was president. Now, our governor is Governor Chase, Governor Ira Joy Chase. And Governor Chase has some interesting things. He used to be a schoolmaster. He used to be a soldier. And he's done a lot of different things. Now, the other thing that's part of our government lesson is how old is the state of Indiana. He's the governor of Indiana. How old? Does anyone remember the year Indiana became a state? All right, 1816. It is now 1892. If you want to get your slates out to work a problem, you may. Do you know how to do it? Let's think. We have 1892, the year it is now, minus 1816. And when you work that problem, you will know how old Indiana is. All right, so let's see, Rufus, I saw you stand first. Yes, sir? That is correct, 76 years. So we've been a state for 76 years. All right, very good. All right, you may erase your slates, and I'll erase the blackboard. And then we are going to have just a couple of short lessons. Your mas and pas said they want you home early today because all the fields and the gardens are not harvested and they needed your extra help. And I know that some of you are really good help. All right, now the last thing before we go home today, we are going to have a short physiology lesson. And when Dr. Stone was here and he told us about the germs and hand washing and not drinking after someone else, he also said that sometimes our eyes get really tired if you're doing close work. Like some of you might be doing some sewing or knitting, or boys, you're whittling when you're working on some things, or if you're doing your homework and your eyes get really tired. One thing you can do is, if it's daytime, look way out the window. Make your eyes look far away because you've been looking at something close. So look far away. Now, if it's dark and you can't look far away, he said we could do this. I have to take my spectacles off, just like some of you, but just take 2 fingers and gently massage your eyes, and those eyes will relax those muscles, and once those muscles are relaxed, then you can go back and start working on your close-up work again. All right, don't forget that if you did not finish your penmanship lesson or your story, that you may finish your story, and you may use pencil to finish that, and take home any work that you still need to do, and make sure you get your lunch pails, and I'll ring the bell, and when I ring the bell, I'll see you tomorrow. Well, we just had a small taste of school from 125 years ago. You know what school is like today. So imagine what it would be like in another 125 years. Into the future, I wonder. Maybe you could share some of that ideas with your family. Thank you for visiting Simmons School on this virtual field trip. Maybe you'll be able to visit in person one day. Until then, remember, Simmons School, where history comes alive.